people in here. They've been inside from the start. They haven't had to survive. And they just don't get it. They can't.
The very thing that makes you different is what makes you special.
Now I'm all warm and fuzzy inside.
To fight for this city. To be the symbol of hope that the Arrow never was. I am the Green Arrow.
I am green.
Hey everyone.
Someone has a Legends of Tomorrow comic book.
I got me a Legends of Tomorrow issue 1.
Very nice.
Yeah, with the firestorm.
It looks very fiery.
Yep, it is. It was basically what this was. This was a it was like 4 miniseries that was originally going to be released separately. Firestorm, Metamorpho, the Metal Men, and an adult version, like a grown-up version, I guess, of Sugar and Spike.
So not this adult.
Yeah, and no, not that kind of. No.
Okay.
Let's not go there.
All right.
So DC, in their wisdom, decided, well, the sales are going to most of these will be horrible. So let's repackage them all together in one 80-page comic and release that as Legends of Tomorrow.
Very nice.
Because we don't have a Legends of Tomorrow comic because we have no idea of corporate synergy.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. So
very true.
So that's what the deal with that is.
Excellent. I like it. I might have to go get me one of them.
So I'm Charles, as you might imagine, and with me as always is the incredible Karen Lindsay.
Oh, hi. Thank you, everyone. And we are the Fandom Zone.
We are the Fandom Zone. Episode 52.
Headed to 100 now, right?
We're on our way.
That's right.
Not the new 52.
No, not the new 52. Although 52 is the magic number in the DC universe.
At least until it gets rebooted with issue 52. And we start all over.
Always.
In 2 months. Oh, that's coming. For those of you keeping up on the comics world.
Yeah.
But we've got a full plate again.
Right, but mostly because of Daredevil.
Yeah, mostly because of Daredevil, because we want to squeeze in 2 episodes of Daredevil this week to accommodate that, because next week all the DC CW shows come back.
Right.
So
let's get in a couple of Daredevils.
Let's get in a couple of Daredevils while we can.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
But in addition to those, we're going to cover the Walking Dead, episode 13, Supergirl, episode 16, Gotham, episode 14, Lucifer, episode 8, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, episode 12.
Correct.
Correctamundo. A word I hope I shall never say again.
Correctamundo?
Correctamundo.
Come on, that's the Fonz's word.
I know.
You can't be any cooler than the Fonz, right?
You could be the Doctor.
Well, all right, but the Fonz was awesome.
The Fonz is cool, granted, but
that's right.
Except for when he started teaching. And then
he was still cool.
I don't know. When he started putting on the tweed jacket, I don't know about that.
Yeah, well, that's true. It was always the leather jacket.
It's like he became the establishment, man.
Yeah, he was the man.
He was the man. He was everything he was originally rebelled against.
Right.
So,
and that's what made him cool. Was that he was rebelling against the man, right?
Right. But then once he became the man.
So when he started wearing the tweed jackets is when he jumped the shark. No, wait.
He did that earlier.
So hopefully you get that reference.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't, look it up, please.
Well played, Karen.
Thank you. So we're going to talk about The Walking Dead first, yeah?
Yeah, let's talk about The Walking Dead. Jump right in.
Sure.
The Same Boat, written by Angela Kang, directed by Billy Gearhart.
Okay. And I only have one story title.
Okay.
There was only one story in this episode.
Okay, what's your one story?
Seesaw sets. And that might be
By the seashore.
yeah, that might be cryptic, but they used the Saw set for that episode.
Yes, they did. I remember reading that. That's cool.
Right. So that's why I used Seesaw set.
It was a nice little grungy little set, wasn't it?
It was, yes. And honestly, I think that was really the only storyline, was that whole thing with the girls, and then of course the rescue at the end.
Yeah.
So nothing else happened really.
Well, this was a really unique episode of The Walking Dead in the sense that it's essentially, with the exception of one character who really doesn't matter all that much, it's a very female-centric episode.
Right.
I mean,
Except for the guy who got shot. That's the one
you've got Carol and Maggie being held captive by a group of saviors
Mm-hmm.
that include Alicia Witt as Paula.
Yes. Who we were so excited was coming on the show.
Right, and she was great on Talking Dead afterward.
Yes.
Yeah, sadly, doesn't look like she'll be around.
No, that's it.
Apparently, it's just a one-off.
Yeah.
But and then there's this character called Michelle. They refer to her as Shell. And then smoking, or like chain smoker Molly.
Mm-hmm.
And then Donnie, who's injured.
Right.
But it's pretty much the women. And I thought this was really cool because it had a different vibe to the episode as a result.
It was much more a character study than a gore fest.
Right. I mean, because in the past, you've had Rick versus the governor, or Daryl versus rednecks, or whatever, or a bunch of people outside. So this kind of battle of wills going on between Paula and Carol and Maggie, I thought was very fascinating.
I did too. And it's always a character study, don't get me wrong. I think every week there's a character study. But this week it was just completely character driven.
Right.
There was almost no zombie-ness happening.
Except at the end, really.
But. Right, at the end. And it was more of like an incidental zombiness. Like, oh, there's some zombies here.
Yeah, they're just more like tools than they are anything else.
Right, exactly. And everything else was just this battle of wills between the women being held captive and the women holding them captive. That's really all it was, which was amazing. And it made for a really great story, I thought.
It was gripping television. I just adored it. So we have essentially, as we said, this is following up from last week, where we kind of see it at the beginning, where we see how Carol and Maggie were kind of captured by Paula's group.
Right, a little expanded.
Yeah, and we kind of fill in the little missing bits of information, like, okay, how did this happen? Well, now we know.
Right.
But and we have like Primo, their guy, held hostage by Rick's group.
Right.
But
But they're off in the distance, and that's really until the end of the episode. That's the only glimpse we get of them.
Pretty much, and that was cool because it's like, let's get rid of them for a while. Let's kind of focus on these two characters who are great.
Yeah, and it was driven by Carol and what was her name? Paula? Yeah, Carol and Paula were really the main two characters in this episode.
Right, but you do get some great Carol and Maggie scenes.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
And I guess that's something that the actress who plays Maggie was lobbying for. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely wanted to work together because they hadn't really had a lot of scenes together. So I'm guessing that was really cool for them. And also, Alicia Witt said that it was like a dream come true for her to work with the woman that plays Carol as well.
Yeah, apparently she's been watching The Walking Dead. So it's like a celebrity fan who gets to be on the show.
And well, that seems to echo almost every time we see a celebrity who goes on the show
Right.
in a guest role, they say, "I've always wanted to be on The Walking Dead." That seems to be like one of the things we hear over and over when they go on The Talking Dead.
So I kind of wonder if a lot of these celebrity fans like tell their agents, they say, "Oh, hey, keep checking with The Walking Dead, and if an opening comes up, let me know because."
Right. Well, in her case, she didn't even know until after she had gotten the part, but it could have been
Right.
her agent
You
knew.
kind of know what show, but you don't know what role, right?
Right. Well, she didn't know what show at
Yeah.
all.
Oh, she didn't even know
She tried out, and when she got the part, she was flown in, and that's when she got the script because they don't let the script out or anything.
Right.
So that's what she said, at least on Talking Dead. So yeah, that must be weird to not know what part you're getting. Her agent apparently just told her, "You want this part."
Yep.
So her agent must have known what it was.
And this whole sequence isn't really from the comics.
No.
So it's kind of filler a little bit. But
Mm.
it doesn't come off as your traditional filler episode.
No, this was getting to know some characters that
Yeah.
we know, but in a way that
Mm-hmm.
we normally wouldn't get to know them.
Right.
And getting to see the strength of these characters.
And of all places, it takes place in a slaughterhouse.
Right.
Which, little heavy-handed with the irony there, Walking Dead.
Right. Right. Yeah, but ironic, yes, but is it someplace that might be safe as well? Sure, because of all the freezer doors and things like that, you'd be able to keep zombies out, and yeah.
But what I'm thinking is that bit at the end where Carol tells this scout group to meet her on the kill floor.
Mm-hmm.
And then, which is like kill floor.
Right. Yeah, and that is literally what it becomes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she throws the fire.
Yeah,
the
fire.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't work that way. The liquid would put the cigarette out. But, I'm going to hand wave it. Because it was an awesome scene anyway.
It was. So while we're talking about Carol, what was your impressions of everything that Carol went through?
I am still mulling over in my head. Every time I think about this episode, I'm mulling over in my head how much of her was a performance and how much of it was real. And I think maybe she doesn't even know how much of it was real and how much of it wasn't.
Right.
There was a lot of bravado going on, and there was a lot of nervousness going on. And a lot of what she said, I think, was in order to lull Paula into a false sense of security. But then at the end, she definitely had her S together.
Yeah.
So how much of that nervousness at the beginning was really nervousness? And I think it was a lot less than what we might have thought it was. I think there was some nervousness, obviously, and I think it was for Maggie. That she wasn't nervous about herself. She was not lying. I'm not afraid.
No, she was nervous for Maggie.
Right.
Because she wanted to protect the baby.
Right.
Right.
So I think her being scared, Paula kept saying, well, little scaredy cat or whatever. She was taunting Carol for being scared.
Right.
I don't think it was so much her being scared. I think it was just she was trying really hard to make sure Maggie didn't get hurt.
Right.
And then there was that added, I've got to act a certain way so that they underestimate me. So there was a bit of chess being played there.
I totally agree. Now, up till now, Carol has kind of become a fan favorite because she's essentially Bat Carol.
Right.
She's like, she has her plans, she executes her plans, and takes out the bad guys like nobody's business. So she's essentially Batman of the group.
Right.
And so in this situation, we're expecting her to just sit there, and we're like, okay, she's just sitting there. She's got to be planning her move. She's just gathering information,
right?
Waiting for a moment.
Right.
But there are there are, because of recent developments this season, she's not quite on her game.
Right. She's not 100%.
No, she's essentially like, yeah, she's not full 100% back Carol.
Right. Right. She's Robin Carroll.
Exactly.
And she's
Or
worried
or
about Maggie.
right. Exactly. So she's not on her game really, although she still kind of goes through those motions, like the whole
Hmm.
business where she finds that rosary cross and then sharpens it so that she can free her bonds and get out.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, and she uses it like she's praying
right.
so that they won't think twice
Or
about her
or
having them.
taking it away, and she's acting all meek and helpless, and
Hmm.
but
Right.
but
And
that's,
and
I think that was partly an act, but I think part of it is she's kind of traumatized.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So, it's hard for me to get where that line is.
Mhm.
And I am not sure she even knew where that line was. I know she was planning,
Mhm.
but I also am not sure with all the adrenaline she had going that she knew how scared she was for Maggie or herself.
Right. I don't think
I
she really.
don't
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I
I
was
want to
just
know
I
what
was
you're
just gonna
gonna say.
say, I think I don't think yeah, I don't think she even knew until the end when Daryl shows up and she needs a hug from Daryl.
Right.
And then
And
she
the
and
adrenaline
then
is
and
wearing
then
off.
she's like, "That's it, I'm done."
Right. Right. And I don't know what the symbolism was of her uh, cutting her hand with the cross. I think it was just maybe her trying to take her mind off of everything with the pain,
Yeah, maybe
maybe.
maybe it was kind of like a cutting thing.
Yeah.
Like I can't deal with
Trying to
this, so
feel
I'm trying to feel something. Yes.
something other than
Yeah.
what was going on in there.
Um,
And man, it was so emotionally charged through the whole thing. And like we were saying, I think until they got out of that room and had their plan cemented
mhm.
in her mind at least,
Right.
she had for each little step that they took in her plan, she had each little plan kind of okay, I know what we're doing right now.
Mhm.
She didn't understand how she felt about the whole thing. And that was what made her unsure. But as soon as they got out of that room, she was Bat Carol again.
Right.
And I would say 99% Bat Carol because there was still some nervousness with Maggie, and Maggie stepped right up.
Yeah, Maggie did. Although there's that one scene where Shell kind of slashes at her stomach
Mhm.
and cuts her shirt,
Right.
and Carol just kind of freaks out and then blows Shell away.
Right.
Headshot.
Well, she's not going to let anyone hurt Maggie.
No, but I mean, up till now, Carol's just been kind of actually a little hesitant to kill someone,
Right.
and then all of a sudden she sees Maggie being possibly injured, and that just snaps her back into Batgirl mode.
Right. Maggie and the baby,
Yeah,
which was the big deal, I think.
right,
And that's her mothering instinct. She's thinking back to how she failed her children
right.
and that,
And not to mention,
that's not
Lizzie, look at the flowers and all that. So yeah, there's a lot going on there.
right. And yeah, it was just so great. And I think that they talked about this a little bit on Talking Dead, and I've seen some conversations about it, how Paula and Carol are kind of mirror images of each other,
Yeah,
like how they could be
yeah.
friends if
Well,
it was a different situation.
yeah. Paula seemed kind of to be a little bit in the same boat that Carol was before the
Hmm.
zombie apocalypse.
Right.
We find out, we do get the story, kind of Paula gives her origin story
Hmm.
where she says, and I've got it down here, she says, she tells Carol that she was a secretary before the apocalypse. She fetched coffee for her boss, made him feel good while reading inspirational emails to make herself feel good.
Right.
And then she reveals that when the end everything started going down, she killed her boss so that he wouldn't drag her down with him,
Right.
and says that it made her stronger. as a result.
Exactly. But he wouldn't let her leave. That's why she killed him.
Right. And that's
He
kind of
wouldn't
what
let her leave to go home to her family, so she
right.
never got to see her family.
And that's kind of what Carol went through a little bit with Ed,
Mm-hmm.
where Ed tried to keep Carol under his thumb until he ends up biting it, and then
Right.
once he's dead, then Carol begins to blossom.
Blossoms, right. Yeah, she grows out of that weed
Right.
that was her husband.
That was strangling her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was early on, but she took a while to grow out of that. And
Well, she had a
I
long road
think,
to go.
yeah, but I think her environment has caused her to be a better person than Paula was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the fact that Paula fell in with the saviors has made her that hollow, kind of bitter
Right.
person. And Carol being with Rick has made her into a very sympathetic, even though she's a killer, she's on the side of good.
Yeah, I think Carol and Paula are both products of their environment,
Right.
but because, like you said, Paula's environment was so much harsher than Carol's, the group she
Mm-hmm.
was with.
Right.
And as a result, Carol became a better person through her metamorphosis
Right.
than Paula did.
Right. If you think of it like Negan is a mob boss
Mm-hmm.
and Rick is the cops,
Right.
then that pretty much makes sense. She was under a mob boss and Carol was part of the cops. I mean, that, but they're kind of in the same spot on each side. And I loved seeing the dynamic between the two of them because there were looks that they would give each other that would say, you know, I would really respect you if we weren't in this position.
Right.
And that made for a really nuanced performance between the two of them. And I loved that. And then the scenes between Maggie and Carol, when no one else was in the room, they were also emotionally charged as well. And then the scene between Carol and Shell,
Mm-hmm.
when they were chatting, was also pretty intense.
Right.
So I mean, there were scenes between each pairing of the women that I really enjoyed. Even the coffee cigarette woman and Carol
the chain smoker
had a bit of a chat, and you know, she was saying that she was living on borrowed time.
well, yeah,
definitely
she's had lung cancer or something, or emphysema or something going on there.
Something, yeah. And I don't think she even knew what it was. She just knew that her time was.
Yeah, she's coughing up blood, so she's just like, well, I'm probably good about it. So yeah.
And was your first thought John Constantine? Because mine was.
Well, yeah, but
No lie.
remember, Constantine, got his way out of it by selling his soul to the triumvirate of hell. But
Anytime I see anyone coughing up blood, I always just immediately my mind goes to John Constantine. I don't know why. I've read that story so many times.
Dangerous Habits.
That's right.
That would be a great name for a podcast. Oh, it was.
It was.
And then NBC canceled the damn show.
That's right.
Shakes fist at NBC.
See.
Yeah.
It's all right. He came back.
Yep, for an episode.
Just like John Constantine would.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So anything else that you think we need to cover?
The story was amazing. That's all. And the end where the guys come to save them.
Yeah.
After I did air quotes.
Right.
They've really saved themselves.
Save them.
Right.
Yeah.
Rick and Daryl and Glenn. Was there anyone else?
Well, I mean, they've got Primo with them.
Right.
And then, then there's that whole business at the end because we got to give Rick something to do.
Right.
So
and Primo says he's Negan.
Yeah, he claims he's Negan. Rick's just like blam. And
right.
Carol
instead of actually just taking him in to question him.
Right.
Which might have been smart.
Yeah, I think it was a little rash on Rick's part, but he was a little upset, emotionally charged because of the hostage situation going on.
Right.
So, but yeah, you're right. It would have been a lot smarter. This is and this kind of like why Carol needed to be in charge.
Right.
But
If women ran the
or Maggie,
world.
yeah, exactly. If this was Maggie or Carol's group as opposed to Rick's group,
Right.
but
And I think it was funny how they showed up and the girls had already rescued themselves from all these people. I mean, all of them. Even the guys that had come in to help the women
right,
at the end, they had dispatched all of them
yeah,
as well. And so the guys, our guys,
right.
come in to find out that the women are all pretty much safe.
It's like, well, guess what? We didn't need you. We saved ourselves. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks. You couldn't come any quicker, dummy.
Thanks for nothing.
Right. And so Rick's only move is to kill Primo at the end,
Right.
who he thinks is Negan, and we of course know he's not Negan. So and that was pretty much the episode, and it was just amazing. I loved this episode. This might be my favorite of the season so far.
Oh, of the season. Okay.
So far.
Now, did you notice that at the end when Rick shot Primo, Carol gripped that cross?
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you before we do our ratings, do you think Carol is kind of heading more toward Morgan's pacifism?
No, I don't think so.
You know, I mean,
I don't think she's ever going to head that way.
Do you think she's going to be the reluctant killer?
No.
No?
After all this,
well,
no.
She seems kind of traumatized. She seemed a little horrified that Rick shot Primo.
I think she's traumatized by this, but I think she would never hesitate to step up and hurt someone if someone that she loved was being threatened.
So you're saying she's down but not out.
Right. I think that it's going to take a couple episodes for her to recover from this. But I also think that something's going to come up and she's going to have to defend herself again.
Yes, probably.
So yeah.
Very probably.
And I did like her and Daryl at the end.
Yes.
Hugging each other.
And let's face it, we love Carol as Bat Carol. We want to see her kicking butt and coming up with a super plan.
Yeah. And I love to see her on Talking Dead because she's just so ladylike on Talking Dead.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
Melissa McBride, yeah.
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 She was great.
So what was your rating for this episode?
I gave it 9.5 Frankie tattoos.
Very nice.
For Chell and her daddy.
I give this one 9 out of 10 rosary crosses.
Yeah, just a great.
It was a very solid episode. Liked it a lot. So kudos to Angela King for a well-written episode.
Yeah,
and well directed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the direction was insane on this one.
It was good. It made
you have to be careful with the bottle episode.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, we thought again this typically would have been a filler episode, but it became something more because it was just so strong.
Agreed.
Yep. So let's move on to Supergirl.
All right.
Which I thought was another strong episode.
Oh, amazing.
It started off the week. We've had a really pretty good comic book television week.
A really good week, I think.
So I thought that was another strong episode. Falling, written by it's a Twin Peaks song, but I won't reference it. I won't go into it. Written by Robert Rovner and Jessica Queller, directed by Larry Teng.
Yep.
And what's our A, B, and C?
Okay. So you ready for these? Hold on. Sorry, I had to clear my throat.
That's okay.
Because I got to get ready for these.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. The A story is, screw you guys, I'm going home.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Screw you guys, I'm going home, Scoot. There's that one too.
I have found that the Cartman impression really shreds your voice.
It does.
You do it too long.
See, that's why I had to clear my throat. Yeah. But then there's this one. So let's see if I can do this one. I'm coming out. I want the world to know. Got to let it show. Okay, so there's that one.
I'm coming
out. I'm coming. I'm coming out. Okay, that's all I'm going to do there.
Old school Donna Summer, if I recall correctly.
No, that is Diana Ross.
Oh, it's Diana Ross. Okay.
Yeah.
My mistake. My mistake.
It's all right. It's all right. Some people on our Facebook page got them mixed up too, and they are both amazing women.
Okay, yes they are, and I appreciate you setting me straight.
That's all right. And my C story is Liar, Liar, Pants on Fired.
Nice. Liar! Liar!
Siobhan.
Yeah.
Okay, so screw you guys, I'm going home. Definitely the A story.
Yeah. So
someone got an attitude.
Yes. Yeah. So this is essentially what we get is the Red Kryptonite episode.
Red K.
And Red Kryptonite, for traditionally in Superman comics, was something that could affect Superman or Supergirl or any Kryptonian in all kinds of weird ways, depending on what they want to do with the story.
Right.
Like in this case, it makes Supergirl angry.
Right.
And all ragey, but sometimes it gives Superman like an ant head, or like turns him into a ghost or whomever, so
Right.
weird stuff goes on.
Right.
Until it wears
or
off.
It can make them weak too.
Right, but traditionally, yeah.
Yeah.
And so this time they use Red Kryptonite here to make her just all ragey.
Ragey, and to loosen her inhibitions as well.
Exactly. And we find out over the course of the episode that this was something artificially created by everybody's favorite recurring Lex Luthor wannabe, Maxwell Lord.
That is correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And and it was all part of the plan, tucked away in these little crashed satellites. So yeah, just to kind of see how it would affect her.
Right.
And boy, did it affect her.
It did. And there's going to be more repercussions, I think.
And that's one of the things I loved about this episode. It didn't press the magic reset button at the end. Everything's not all hunky-dory.
Nope.
There are repercussions from this.
That's right.
And so
it did not end happily.
No. So let's kind of go through this a little bit.
Sure.
We've got Kara ends up developing this really abrasive attitude. She starts wearing she basically finds her fashion sense.
Well, she starts wearing an outfit like Non's group does, kind of.
Well, no. First, I'm going to talk about at the office. She starts.
Oh, right.
She starts dressing up, looking more sophisticated, more adult. Even Kat references that, hey, you finally decided to stop wearing those frumpy clothes. I forget exactly how she said it, but she said it. And and she gets that she's not intimidated by Siobhan at all.
Right. Or Kat.
She basically has no S to give.
Right.
Right.
Zero
F's to give.
Right. Yeah, she tells Kat also, she takes Kat's private elevator.
Yeah.
And she says, if I take your elevator, then your coffee will still be hot.
And
snap.
Yeah. And Kat's just like, okay, I'll buy that excuse.
Right.
As long as I get.
She's still not happy.
No, but she can't say no because it's like, well, my coffee's hotter.
Right.
So yeah, she can't really go on about it. And then she ends up later fighting this Kund. And how great, if you're a Legion of Superheroes fan, how great was it to get the Kunds? Although they call them the Cahuns. They put a little apostrophe in there.
Right. And he's not wearing the metal suit.
No.
He was just dressed like a hobo in this.
Well, he's on Earth, so he's slumming a little bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I like him in the metal suit better.
Yeah, exactly. But it was cool. So again, I'm kind of wondering, are we teasing the Legion of Superheroes? That's 2 Legion references so far.
Right. Right. Because the ring.
The Legion flight ring and Solitude, and then this. So I'm hoping. I want to see Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes make it happen.
That would be awesome.
That would rock. And so she fights him. She's like, "Oh, you're not worth my time." 2 snaps and a twist. Go away.
Move along now.
Go away, little Kund.
Yeah.
And so
make sure to emphasize the D in that.
Yeah. Kund.
Yeah.
We won't go there.
Kund.
Yeah. So Alex and Hank get upset, of course. They notice how she's acting. Kara gets into it with Hank for hiding his true identity as the Martian Manhunter.
Right, because he could be out doing stuff as well, and she shouldn't be doing all this heavy lifting.
And apparently Hank took this, took this to heart
He took it to
a
heart.
little bit. Jean, yeah. So, yeah,
We can call him Hank.
yeah. I just want to call him Jean. I would just like drop the Hank
No,
stuff. He's John Jones.
no. Well, we can drop it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, pretty much. Um, so Kara ends up finding out that Siobhan planned to give the story of Supergirl letting the Kun go to the Daily Planet, hoping that Perry White would give her a job.
Right, because she is floundering
Yep.
at Catco now.
And now that she's evil Kara, she prints off the email, deletes the actual email,
Right.
gives it to Kat,
Mm-hmm.
and who immediately fires Siobhan.
Right. And it's something that we talked about
That's kind
on
of
Made
like
of
our
Steel.
story. I'm sorry, I kind of jumped into that a little.
No, it's all right. We talked about it on Made of Steel because who's in the right there?
Yeah. Well, I think they're both kind of in the wrong.
Right.
So I think there's enough blame to go around there, but it works to Kara's benefit
Sure.
because hey, I get rid of my office rival,
Mm-hmm.
and who probably won't become a supervillain and come after me as a result.
Right.
Right.
But it also worked against her in that didn't out her, but also Kat outed her in a much worse way.
Yes.
In this episode. So yeah.
And then of course,
I mean that whole picture would have that could have been explained away.
And Kara's attitude kind of culminates in the scene between her and Kat later on, where she throws Kat off the side of a building.
Yeah.
And then kind of watches for a little bit, then goes down to get her, and just to kind of like prove her point that power. She's got the power.
Right. You're not the most powerful person in National City.
And that's kind of where it all goes down.
Right. And that ties into her little cameo on the talk.
Yeah.
That happened at the beginning of the episode, which I just rolled my eyes.
Yeah, I did too, because that's just basically CBS self-promotion.
Right.
Because CBS owns the talk.
Now, the only good part about that was that, what's her name? Lana from Archer.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
She's on the talk.
Yeah.
So I like her, and she got to ask the nerdy question.
Unfortunately, not as Lana Kane.
No.
Without how great those.
No.
She goes, yup.
Yup. She gets to ask the nerdy question, but otherwise I was just like, oh, come on, Les Moonves, you put your wife on Supergirl, please. He's the CEO of CBS, by the way. Yes. His wife is also on the talk. She's the worst. But anyway.
Gold digger. Oh.
You think?
Excuse me, that got caught in my throat there. I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. So and synergy.
Yeah, I know.
I don't mind synergy when they do it right, but this was not.
It was blatant and forced as all get out.
Right. And to go on the talk, I mean, the talk has nothing to do with Supergirl.
How embarrassed do you think Calista Flockhart was to do that scene?
Really embarrassed.
She didn't even really. I mean, I know it was kind of in Kat's character, but she didn't even look at the others. She just stared straight ahead at the camera.
Right. Well, she did take one look at Sharon Osbourne when she did the zing at her. Right. But otherwise, it was just right at the camera the whole time. It was terrible. Yeah, it was. They must have been embarrassed.
I would be. I would be.
Yeah, each one of the ladies got one line.
Yeah.
And then Callista got like a line back at each of them. And then I was like, oh, God, this is the worst. But they made a point to say that she was the most powerful person in National City, because it's not just woman in National City, person.
Yeah, we have to be politically correct. So, yes.
Right. Oh, she corrected them, though, because they said woman and she said no, person. Mm-hmm. And then this is to get back to the throwing out of the building. Yeah. Supergirl, Kara, has to prove to her, no, you're not the most powerful person. I am.
Right.
And ouch.
Yeah. And this snowballs the events so that Kat ends up going on television and telling everybody in National City, especially that poor little girl who gets saved by bully or rescued from bullies by Supergirl.
I
That
know.
little girl dropped Supergirl like that. Not really a lot of
Yes.
loyalty there. I thought it was a
No,
little
but
quick to, be throwing away the costume and all that, but yeah. I get why you're selling it, but
yeah.
yeah, so it was a great scene.
Very Spider-Man of
It was
her.
it was, and it was a great scene at the beginning where, yes, Kara rescues this little girl from bullies and says, "Oh, hey, Supergirl's my friend, and how cool am I?" But and then she the little girl ends up kicking Supergirl to the curb thanks to Kat, along with
Mhm.
the rest of National City.
Spider-Man's her
Yeah,
outfit
exactly. So
right in the trash
yeah,
can.
yeah. All of a sudden, Cat Grant turns into J. Jonah Jameson.
Right?
I hadn't really caught that reference about the costume like Peter Parker in the trash can, but
It looked just
I'm
like that.
guessing that's probably what it was. It was an homage to
I think so.
Spider-Man No More, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as homage as it can
Yeah.
get coming from
Yeah.
DC, but I think it
I
was a
think I
little
think you're
bit.
right. I think it was.
Yeah.
So now Kat is talking about that menace, Supergirl,
Mhm. And she is very Jonah Jameson about
pretty
it.
much.
Yeah.
And apparently now there's going to be repercussions because that doesn't get all cleaned up.
No, and she did a bunch of stuff on this
Yeah.
around the city too. She blew up some cars
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she was not happy around the city.
Yeah. No,
And not just that, but they go out to stop her,
right.
the DEO, and they have some sort of a gun, right? Some sort of
Yeah.
a
Well, basically, they get Max to invent this weapon that will, create the antidote that. So
right
they have to shoot her with that. But before that, though, there was a great little Superman 3 homage.
with the
Yeah, with the
peanuts.
peanuts.
Fantastic.
Now I'm going to go on record here. Superman 3 is my most hated Superman film.
Yes.
Comic film. It's
Superman 4 is my
See, I like 4
most hated.
better. 4 is at least somewhat watchable for me. I can't watch Superman 3. I
Okay.
can't watch
Which
I
one's the one with Richard
That's
Pryor?
Superman 3.
Okay, then it's 3.
Yeah. I can't watch Richard Pryor being goofy, and I can't watch Superman getting attacked in the Atari 2600 video
Right.
game at the end. It's so bad.
Okay, that's the one I
Right.
hate too. However, that scene.
Right. Because for those who haven't seen Superman 3 with Christopher Reeve, there is a scene in a bar. Now, Superman has been turned evil because of tar kryptonite. This
Right.
artificial kryptonite that Richard Pryor alters with the substance tar,
Right. Which is dumb.
which is dumb. It's like all of a sudden
Right.
cigarette tar makes evil Superman.
Right. Which was them
Yeah.
having an
So
agenda.
basically, his costume is all kind of darkened. His face looks he's got like rocking a 5 o'clock shadow, and he's sitting there in the beer looking all sullen. And there's like this bowl full of peanuts or whatever, and he starts flicking peanuts at beer bottle or the alcohol bottles, liquor
Bottles.
bottles. Thank you, behind the
Mhm.
bar, and he's just fing, 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 fing. Because of his strength, just starts
Mhm.
shattering these things with these peanuts.
Right. And the people are terrified of him
Right.
in the bar.
It's like, oh, evil Superman. Well, guess what? They reset it here with evil Kara at a bar flinging peanuts at
Right.
bottles.
And it's fabulous.
Yeah.
I love the homage.
Right. I got it.
Now, that movie stinks.
Yeah.
I agree with you. If that's the Richard Pryor
Yes.
one, which you say, and I believe you,
Yes.
then I hate that one.
Yeah, I do too.
But I remember that scene kind of fondly because it was funny.
Mhm.
And if I could just pick that scene out of that movie
Yeah.
and watch it, it's funny.
Right.
But I loved seeing Kara do that as a little homage to him. And it was funny. I mean, she's rude and everything, but watching her flick the peanuts and breaking the stuff behind the bar was, it was, if I was in the bar, I'd be terrified.
Right.
But I thought it was funny watching it. Flick,
Mhm.
flick, flick, deadly.
Right.
So anyway, sorry.
No, it's okay. And then, but Supergirl, after she gets cured by that weapon,
Mhm.
She feels remorseful. She just breaks down in front of her sister.
Well, no, wait, before we do
Yeah.
that.
Oh, the Jean stuff? Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do that. Okay. So, in order to
Before she gets scared.
yeah, in order to take Kara down, Jean Hank ultimately decides to out himself as the
Or she's going to kill Alex.
yeah, or she's gonna kill Alex. So, Jean takes the initiative to like, okay, you know, he shapeshifts right in front of everybody, reveals that he's the Martian Manhunter. Oh my God, the alien hunting DEO head is an alien.
Right.
And so they use that. They give that allows Alex to use the antidote on Supergirl.
And they have an epic fight
Yeah,
too.
there's a pretty brutal beatdown, especially on TV. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, they ruined the front of Catco's building.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty bad.
Now, does the DEO pay for that?
I don't know.
I'm gonna wonder who she's gonna sue for that, but
yeah, she's gonna sue someone.
I would think, but
it cannot just be fixed in the next episode. If it is,
so as a result, Jean ends up allowing himself to get taken into DEO custody, and his would-be girlfriend, Senator Crane, who was all ready to give the DEO some extra funds and stuff, just decides, well, I'm not down with this.
I'm taking a step back.
Yeah, I'm not feeling this right now. She wants to know what happened to the real Hank Henshaw. Jean's just like, I can't really go into that.
Right.
And so she's like wondering if she can trust him now.
Right. And she wants to know what to call him.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
and there's lots of things. And they were holding hands at the beginning of the episode, which was awkward.
Right.
Because it was in the middle of a briefing.
So Jean's going to have to repair some stuff here too.
Right. And that was definitely a concession he made to get taken in, because he didn't need to get taken in. He did that on purpose.
No, I think Kara's words, evil Kara's words, kind of stuck in his head a little bit. And he's just like, you know, you're right. I should be
It's time for my reckoning.
It's time to come out.
Right.
So.
Which is why I said I'm coming out. And he did want the world to know. It was time.
He's gonna let it show.
That's right. I think that really reverberated with him, as he said, I'm a hypocrite.
Yep.
I want her to do all this, and I'm not willing to let my real face show. Now, the one thing, Emily asked me, why did he have to shapeshift in order to fight her? And I said, it's like he's releasing that energy that he uses to shapeshift into Hank, so that he can use that to fight.
That's good.
That's pretty.
Either that or he made a conscious decision. It's a little unclear, granted.
Yeah. But, I'm just assuming he uses some energy to make himself look like Hank.
Maybe he just relaxed himself, resumed his normal shape. And then, so he could fight better. I don't know.
That's my guess, at least. So he doesn't have to worry about keeping that form.
Yeah, he could focus on the fight.
Right.
And maybe he just really wanted to kind of make a public show of it.
Could be. Could be both, actually.
Because he could have just like, woo, I got to run. Hold on. And then, Martian Manhunter, where did you come from?
He could have.
But he didn't.
And I have to say, the Martian Manhunter transformation and everything looks like 1,000,000 times better.
Yeah, I think they're improving on that.
Yeah, way.
Ever since, that scene where Martian Manhunter's flying with Supergirl, I think
that was terrible.
Yeah, that was pretty CGI.
Yeah, kind of massy.
Yeah, but now I think they're working on it.
And here's the thing. She has so many things to make up for. She came on to James.
Yeah.
And James was not happy. At the end of the episode, she tries to tell James she's in love with him, and he's like, whoa, back up now.
Yeah, I'm not feeling this either.
Nope. So there's that. She and Kat go back to a little bit of a standoff.
I'm kind of wondering why Kat isn't just freaking out when Supergirl shows up on her balcony again.
Right. Well, she does mention she was scared, but she's gone base jumping. So, she's got some bravado happening there. Um,
And then tells her,
so yeah,
you know, like, if anybody could win back the trust of National City, you can, Supergirl.
right. Well, yeah, she says that. And I have to say, the acting during that scene when she's back in the DEO
Right.
crying on the table between she and Alex, so Melissa Benoist and Kyler Lay.
It was really good. So yeah, Melissa Benoist really showcased in this episode.
Oh,
And apparently
amazing.
the girl's got some range.
Yeah. Oh, so crazy. Kyler Lee brings it all the time, I
Right.
think. To an extent. You know, she always has that kind of guilty charged sort of like she's holding in
Yeah.
stuff. You know, she's always holding something back from
Right.
someone. And in this case, she broke down a lot when Kara broke
Right.
down. And so both of them working together made an incredible emotional scene there. And I think both of them deserve huge props for this episode.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So they were crazy good.
Okay.
And there's going to be reckoning there too.
Yeah, I'm just going to be curious to see how this, because this basically triggered a whole bunch of events that are going to probably pay off throughout the last part of the season.
Right. And the minor thing being, well, okay, Siobhan quits or gets fired. So she's mad, and we know that's going to end
Yeah,
badly.
well, you know she's going to be
But
hating
then-
on Kara.
Right. But then she had a thing with Wynn, so she's also kind of hurt Wynn as well.
But yeah, she wasn't thinking though about Wynn.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah. There's going to be that little bitterness there too.
Right.
Like,
a little bit.
Like, hey, you like got my, like, you know,
Girlfriend fired.
Yeah, my F buddy fired. Thanks a lot.
Right. Well, whatever she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a funny
My
scene too.
storage closet fling.
In the storage closet. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna need to use gloves in there. That was
So
funny.
what was your rating for this episode?
I gave it 8.5 flawless hair days. Because when she is bitchy, she looks amazing.
Right.
Her hair was always perfect. Her clothes were amazing.
Yeah, she was working it.
She was big time.
I give this one 9 out of 10 crash satellites.
Very nice. A strong episode.
Yep, it was good. And so, yeah, we need more like this.
Agreed.
So let's move on to Gotham City.
Another stellar episode.
This ball of mud and meanness. Written by...
Which is still a very weird episode.
Yeah, written by Jordan Harper, directed by John Baring. And what's our A, B, and C?
A story full of Maloney.
Mm-hmm.
B story is he screams for ice cream. C story, an enigma wrapped in a riddle.
Wrapped in a conundrum.
Yeah. My favorite really is full of Maloney.
Right. Yeah, it was good.
The other ones were just like,
my
whatever.
Maloney has a first name. It's O-S-C-A-R. Oh, wait.
It's M-A-T-C-E-H-E-S.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. So let's talk about Mr. Malone. Matches Malone. Patrick Matches Malone, played by Michael Bowen. And
so good.
And for those of you who don't recognize the name right off the bat, he was on Breaking Bad, the last season, as when Walter and they end up doing this train robbery. He's the guy that was like part of the hired goon squad that helps, that Mike brings in to help Walter pull off this train robbery.
Right. And he is also going to be on this week's Castle.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
So.
Meh.
But yeah. Are you grumbling about Castle?
A little bit.
All right. So Matches Malone. Now, again, Matches Malone. We've talked about this before. This is the alias that Bruce Wayne adopts as Batman when he wants to investigate or infiltrate the criminal underworld.
Mm-hmm. I have a question to ask you when we get there.
So, Bruce is still under the presumption that Matches is the one who killed his parents.
Right.
And so much so as this is kind of consuming him. So he goes to Selena to get a gun. Bruce has got a gun. to go on a hunt.
Bruce has got a gun.
Exactly. To go after Matches Malone. They're trying to get some information to find out where Matches is. So he and Alfred doesn't tell Alfred about the gun.
No, of course
Yeah.
not.
This is his own little private vendetta. He's just gonna. But he and Alfred end up going to fight in this underground fight club.
Right, with Cupcake.
Cupcake. Yep.
And they're playing Solomon Grundy.
Yeah, they are playing, and that was a cool reference, Solomon Grundy. But I like the fact that that Alfred calls him Mr. Cupcake.
Right. It's great, right?
Now, Mr. Cupcake.
Yeah. And the timing is everything. Yeah. Line was fantastic.
Sean Pertwee, always great to watch.
Big time.
But so Alfred, he fights Mr. Cupcake, ends up being put in the hospital after he takes him down and gets the info, and then collapses after. But again, once again, Alfred in the hospital. Yeah, so somebody really needs to keep an eye on Alfred.
Yeah. Well, he did win the fight, and it's nice to see that those guys do have some principles because he managed to make it out to the hospital, which means they helped to get him to the hospital. There was a
code.
Yeah. Right. So they helped him into a taxi or something.
First rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. Second rule of Fight Club is that you get Alfred to the hospital.
Right. If you win a fight, you win a fight.
Yeah. So that's good.
That was nice to see, at least. And I did like that every time Bruce would step up and try to do something, Alfred would be like, I have this handled.
Yeah.
And I like how...
Now, Bruce didn't help things because he's kind of blurting stuff out.
Yeah.
Alfred's just like, shut up, kid.
Right. Money?
Yeah.
Shut up, you dummy. And will you take a check? Yeah, I'll take a check. Bruce Wayne, I'll take a check. Yeah, crazy. Bruce is so innocent at the beginning of this episode. Just so innocent.
Now, David Mazouz, who plays Bruce, he goes kind of a little bit of extending his range a little bit in this episode.
Oh, he went a long way in this episode. A really long way. So while
Alfred's in the hospital, Bruce heads to the Celestial Garden Club, where there's it's essentially kind of like a punk club. There's like a band playing while there's videos of the Maniacs on a video screen in the background.
What a great club.
Yeah. And, he's there. He's looking for Jerry, who's where Mr. Cupcake told him to go.
Right.
So Jerry, and I have to think this is a nod to Jerry Robinson, who
I would assume
co-created the Joker.
Right.
Because Jerry is played by none other than Lori Petty,
who killed it.
For those who don't know who Lori Petty is, she was Tank Girl, and she also voiced Livewire on the Superman animated series.
That's cool. And she was in A League of Their Own.
Right.
So
so that's who that is.
That's her role.
So you got Tank Girl for this role, which is pretty much perfect casting.
Yeah. And I have to say, she was kind of a cross between the Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yes.
I thought.
And, there was also a lot of Tank Girl in there.
Yeah.
Because with the kind of sarcasm.
Right.
That was very Tank Girl, the sarcasm.
Yeah.
And so, great casting, getting Lori Petty for this. She's got her face all she has her face all done up, very Jack Nicholson Joker-like.
Very Jokery.
And
yeah.
So she brings Bruce through this club where he sees a lot of interesting stuff. And one of the things I thought was really interesting is that a lot of the people, I don't know if you noticed, you probably did because you're pretty observant, very observant. A lot of people were kind of resembled Batman villains in this club. Like I saw a Mad Hatter. I saw I think it was a Penguin, and then some, other characters. But
yeah, and there were other Jokery looking characters and other stuff.
Yeah, one guy had a derby like the Riddler. So I think this was.
Yeah, there were mishmashes.
Yeah, it was like little subtle background homages to Batman villains.
Mhm. And what I think was going on was it was saying that while these characters didn't exist yet,
Mhm.
the city was making
Yeah.
this
It
stuff
was like a
happen.
foreshadowing. Yeah.
Right. Right. This was the city.
Right.
Gotham is the city, and the city is happening right here in this
Whether
room,
you like it or not.
like a cauldron.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a big crock pot of evil
Right.
that's coming,
Right. Exactly right.
and
And it's bubbling. And she is Jerry
right.
is definitely something that stirs things up in that bubbling crock
Of
pot.
evil. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Like crock pot.
I would love to see her come back.
I would too. I want to see her come back along with the actress who played Missy on Doctor Who as the woman.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see
Mm-hmm.
her come back.
That's right. She would be
So
great
yeah,
as the cleaner. She was kind
yeah,
of the
yeah.
cleaner.
Essentially, yeah. Whenever there's a murder going down, she gets the situation, makes it go away.
Right.
So,
And Lori Petty would be great as some sort of crime ear.
well, yeah, like basically like she needs to become like a source for Gordon.
Right.
Somebody.
And I loved, she was so great. You are not as fun as advertised. She said
She had
to
great
James.
lines. I'll give her that.
Oh, she was
Yeah.
fantastic.
So he says
And
he's looking for matches. Bruce does. He
Mhm.
wants to kill him, and then even though she says that Matches is her friend, she gives Bruce his address, saying Matches is going to be really happy to see you. You're like
Yeah.
the childish hand of fate.
hmm And she says she's playing God. And she also mentions, she says, well, he's my friend. Well, he was my friend. And I think she knows what Matches wants. He wants an assisted suicide.
Right.
And
she thinks that Bruce might be the one to do it.
Right. Either that, well, she knows, of course, that she's going to end up getting a visit from the police. Because she was expecting that 100%.
Yeah, she ends up getting arrested.
Right. And she also waits long enough to give the information to the police so that they will show up at the right time as well at Match's place.
Right.
And she figures if Bruce isn't up to the task, which she doesn't think he is because of the whole, well, if you can't shoot me, then don't say you have a gun thing. Then they will do it for him.
Right.
The cops will do it for him. But he beats them to the punch anyway. So there's that. And I loved Bruce walking through the club. It's like he became a totally different person than when he entered the club. He saw so much in his walk.
Yeah, it's just like, well, this is interesting.
And he kept looking behind him, like all the bodyguards that he had to walk by. And there was a bodyguard at the end of the hallway. And he looked over his shoulder and saw the bodyguard. And he's like, I can't go back now, can I? Because it's not like the bodyguard was protecting anyone. He was stopping Bruce from leaving.
Yeah, it was almost like he was descending into darkness.
Right. Exactly. And so he goes to visit Matches. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm just trying because I'm trying to make up some time here.
Right.
He goes to Matches, who confirms apparently that he was responsible for the deaths of the Waynes.
Which is nebulous in my opinion, but I do think he was the one that pulled the trigger after this.
Yeah.
Because of the pearls.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. At least he gave that impression, unless he was just totally lying about that.
Right.
So that Bruce would kill him.
Right. They leave it nebulous.
And then we find out later, like, oh, guess what? Matches Malone wasn't the one who killed your parents. Oh, no.
Right. Yeah. But he is not the one who put the hit out on his parents. He was merely the instrument.
Right.
If that's true.
Right. So we still got to find out who put the hit on Bruce's parents.
Right. So it's not solved, even if he was the one, which, again, I'm leaning towards the fact that he was the gun.
As far as we know right now, I think based on the information we have to kind of go with the assumption that he was the one who pulled the trigger.
Right.
But
because he knew about the pearls, and really that's the only thing that's pivoting my mind in that direction.
We could get some more information later to kind of countermand that. But
right, like someone knew about the pearls and passed it on to him or whatever.
Exactly. But for right now, for all we know, we have to kind of go with that. I think that he was the gunman.
Right. So. but he's definitely not the brains behind the whole
No.
thing.
He was hired. He was
Right.
hired. So Matches asks Bruce to kill him. Bruce holds back at the last moment, leaves the gun behind, allowing Matches to commit suicide just as Jim Gordon shows up.
Right.
And it's like, well, guess what? I didn't kill him. My
Right.
gun did. My unregistered gun.
Yeah, well, it can't get traced back to him.
Yeah, but his prints are still on it, probably.
Yeah. But again, they did clean it up in the end with a little line of text saying, well, Bruce says that he killed his parents and that's good enough for me, is something he says at the end.
Right.
So, yeah. So that storyline's kind of wrapped up for now.
Right.
And at the end, he decides he's going to go live on the streets with Selena.
Yeah, that's interesting.
To learn the streets.
Yeah. So our B story, he screams for ice cream. I'm guessing is
there's really two, and they're both very small.
I'm guessing it's referring to the Penguin.
Right, the Penguin.
So yeah, Professor Hugo Strange runs some more tests on Oswald, declares him sane, and then releases him from Arkham. Although he kind of hints that, oh, I've got plans for you.
Yeah. So here's my thought, and it's quick. Don't worry. My thought is that he's testing this serum. Mm-hmm. He gives him a serum when he's doing the conditioning, right? He's testing the serum to see how long it lasts in the outside world. Yeah. So he releases him, and he's going to keep an eye on him. And if he breaks out there, then he's going to bring him back for more testing on a slightly souped up version of the serum. And this way he can give the serum to all of the patients he has down in Indian Hill, and he can make an army out of them they're all under his control with whatever the end product of the serum is.
It's a good
It's
a good theory. I have another theory.
Okay.
That Penguin is just one of various sleeper agents.
Okay.
He's releasing them out, and he's been subtly programmed without even realizing it. And then something will happen, like a signal or something will put them into motion to do something that Hugo Strange wants.
Oh.
That's my theory.
So you're thinking he has a proactive way, and I'm thinking he has a retroactive.
So we'll see which one of us is correct.
All right. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, I'm curious, because I could go either way. So.
Yeah, it could. Either way, it would be definitely Hugo Strange's.
Yeah. I mean, Hugo, I just know from the comics, Hugo is very into that whole hypnotism, suggestion thing. So I got to think sleeper agent. That's my guess.
Okay. Well, mine would be sleeper agent too. It would just be him testing it ahead of time. Right. And yours would be he's already got it down and he's ready to go.
He's releasing Penguin in the wild, like, okay, I'm keeping an eye on you because I'm going to use you as a sleeper agent later on.
Right. So, I can't wait.
Yeah, we'll see.
And then an enigma wrapped in a riddle.
Wrapped in a conundrum.
They're asking him questions about Kristen, and really all he has to do is let it lie.
Right.
But no, he decides that James is asked too many questions and he's fixated, and he draws his little question mark over his face. And
yeah, it's not looking good. So we'll get to see the Riddler going after Gordon.
Yeah, he's turned a corner, definitely. Because all he has to do is say, well, I haven't heard from her. She dumped me and that's it. Yeah. And that would
even though all he has to do is just blame himself because he's been so sloppy about that murder.
Right. He's such a dummy.
We'll see.
All right, so what did you give it?
I give this one 8.5 out of 10 untraceable guns.
We're on the same page. I gave it 8.5 newspaper clippings.
Right.
Of course, with question marks on them.
Very nice.
I love that. That's the first time we've seen him use that question mark, the purple question mark like that, right?
I think so.
I got all squee over that.
Yeah, I was
very excited.
So we needed more Riddler. Yeah. All right, moving on. Lucifer. Et tu, Doctor?
That's right.
Which is Latin, of course, for "and you, Doctor." It's a reference to Caesar getting murdered. Et tu.
Right. Kind of like you too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you're the one backstabbing me. So, written by Jen Cow. Directed by everybody's favorite name, Eagle Eagleson.
I love Eagle Eagleson.
So,
He's the best.
all right, what's our A, B, and C?
Cheaters never prosper.
Mhm.
And B story is, hey, jealousy.
Nice,
Hey,
nice
jealousy.
nice Gin Blossoms reset.
Thank you.
Actually, Lori and I saw the Gin Blossoms in concert.
Did you
Yeah.
really? That's awesome.
Before the lead singer sadly killed himself
I know.
and killed the band as a result. But
Yeah. Yeah,
but
it's no longer
thankfully we got to
existing.
see him before that happened. It was
That's
very cool.
awesome.
They were awesome. We went for it was actually a Spin Doctors show.
Oh,
Back when
yeah.
people liked the Spin Doctors.
I still like the
The
Spin
Spin
Doctors.
Doctors were the headliner, but Gin Blossoms blew them away.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
I would have gone to see that double
Yeah, it was a
bill.
great double bill.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I think Cracker opened.
Cracker? Oh,
Yeah. That was like Cracker opened for the Gin Blossoms, who opened for Spin Doctors, I believe.
Triple Duke.
Yeah. Nice. Nice Pam Poovey reference.
Thank you. Okay, and then C story is Lucy knows his douches. Detective Douche.
So, Cheaters Never Prosper, I'm guessing, is referring to our case of the week.
Correct.
Where this cheaters therapist who encourages married couples with problems to cheat has been killed.
That's right. Well, open marriages, I guess, because they don't really cheat.
Right.
They have an open marriage, but yeah, it's cheating really. He cheats.
Yeah. The problem is they can't look into the therapist's patient's files without a court order and an approved therapist. So of course the next scene we get is Lucifer in bed with a judge.
And she's circling.
Yeah, she's circling the name of guess who, Dr. Linda.
That's
on
right.
a piece of paper and signing it. So.
And you know what I liked about this whole thing is that Dr. Linda and Chloe became besties.
Well, Dr. Linda's, this is essentially a good Dr. Linda showcase episode.
I agree.
In like she's out there, she gets to meet Chloe, she gets to meet Mazikeen. And so, yeah, it's kind of cool to see her interacting with.
Yeah, when she meets Mazikeen, she has Mazikeen's number too.
Yeah, she does. I've got here. She immediately analyzes her, puts her off her game, and yeah, I don't think Mazikeen was quite sure what to make of that.
Mazikeen did not like Dr. Linda.
Yeah,
because she had Mazikeen's number.
Right.
Chloe loved her though.
Yeah, she loved Chloe. I thought it was interesting that Dr. Linda immediately takes Chloe's side. She's like, "Oh, well, Lucifer's obviously the crazy one." So
it was fantastic.
And I think Chloe's just fabulous. So, and Lucifer not happy about that.
Chloe didn't want Dr. Linda because she thought Dr. Linda would be biased. Right. But then all of a sudden when Dr. Linda comes on board and she's not biased at all.
She's biased toward Chloe.
In fact, right. So far the other way. So far detached from the situation that she can see it completely unbiased, that Chloe says, I love her so much. She's great. And she's helping you.
Well, to be fair, Chloe, she did get a bad first impression because in the pilot, when they went to go visit Dr. Linda's throwing herself at Lucifer.
Sure. And Dr. Linda is very upfront with her. And she says, well, I thought you were sleeping with her. And she says, oh, I am.
Yeah.
She's upfront. And she says, well, isn't that kind of a conflict of interest? Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's something I'm working on. And she does. Because at the end of the episode, she kind of tells Lucifer, who's kind of surprised by this, like, oh, I don't think we're going to have any more sexual relationship.
There must be some diminishing returns with his charm.
Maybe. Like the more you're around someone, the less effect it has.
Maybe.
Or it wears off after a while, or...
Right. And I appreciated your tweet, by the way.
Oh, which was?
Saying that he didn't get hurt again.
Yeah.
He kept himself out of harm's way yet again.
Yes, your theory still stands. For those, quick reminder, Karen's theory that Chloe's the only one, or maybe Amenadiel, that can
Right.
harm Lucifer, because anytime any other character tries to harm Lucifer, something happens to prevent it.
And he avoids
Yeah.
being harmed by them.
So
Yeah. Only magical beings.
so your theory is still rocking.
We'll find out. It may not come true. It may not be true, but still,
It's fun to talk about.
I'm still keeping an eye on
Yeah.
it. If it does happen, then I'll chalk one up in the win column for myself.
So our B story.
Hey, jealousy.
Yeah, that's got to be Lucifer's jealousy over Chloe being with Detective Douche.
Yeah, and Dr. Linda totally calls him on it. Big time.
Yeah. So, yeah, Dr.
He's
Linda.
unhappy about
Yeah, he
that.
gets upset when she's with Dan. Lucifer thinks that he should get to the bottom of Chloe's relationship with Dan, hopefully inspiring them to end it.
Right. And it also helps him to solve the case.
Right.
Because he goes to Kleenex Boy, played by comedian Al Madrigal,
Right.
whom I love, who is awesome.
For those who don't know, he was on The Daily Show recently.
He was a correspondent on The Daily Show.
Yes.
Jon Stewart was on. And he's fantastic. And he goes to talk to him about jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he realizes that Al actually was in love with the doctor's wife.
Right.
And was mad for her, and that's why he killed the doctor. So he felt like he and that guy were completely different. So there's no way he could be jealous.
Right.
But of course, he doesn't understand there are nuances to jealousy. Yep. So he's going to have to learn differently here. But that jealousy is what solved the case in this way. And also we got another amazing guest star, Jim Rash.
Yes, from Community. Dean.
From Community, yeah. Academy Award winner Jim Rash was on the show. I loved seeing him in the show. It was quite a surprise.
Yeah, first I did a double take. I'm like, oh, wait, that's the Dean from Community.
Everyone's favorite Dean. Yep. I loved it. And he is saved from jumping by Lucifer.
I think it was because I think I did the double take because his character was far less flamboyant than as the Dean on Community. So yeah,
it is very true. He was a normal person in this.
A little more reserved, shall we say?
Yeah.
But in our C story,
Lucy knows his douches.
Yeah.
He's been calling Dan Detective Douche. Right. And we've kind of been brushing that off as being jealous, but apparently
it's justified.
It is. He's the dirty cop.
Yeah, apparently we find out this is kind of like the big twist of the show this week is that we learn Detective Douche, Dan, is the one who shot Malcolm, the guy who kind of comes back from almost certain death miraculously.
By Amenadiel.
Yeah, by Amenadiel. So Malcolm's apparently not too nice of a person. He's wanting revenge by blackmailing Dan.
Yep.
And we find out that
he killed
Tony.
Malcolm killed his partner,
Tony,
right?
And forged his suicide note. So, right. And he's all cocky about it. So Dan is kind of like under Malcolm's thumb, and I'm sure that's not gonna. Once Chloe finds out about it, as of course she will, that might put the brakes on their rekindled relationship.
It sure will, and I think Lucifer is gonna be there to nurse her wounds.
twist the knife a little bit.
Yeah, that too. There's a couple other things though that happen in this. Well, Lucifer also finds out that Amenadiel is the other doctor down the hall.
Dr. Kanan.
Right? Canaan.
Is it Canaan or Kanan?
I thought it was Kanan. As in the land of Canaan from the Bible. Okay. And he goes.
I was wondering what that reference was.
Oh, okay. He goes to Mazikeen, and the only way that he could have known about Dr. Linda is through Mazikeen. So he pointedly asks Mazikeen, and she doesn't even try to get out of it because she knows she can't, and she says, "I did it for your own good."
Yep.
And he says, well, guess what? We're
Yeah,
done.
he accuses her of doing it all for herself. He makes the comment that, oh, guess what? I guess the human world is rubbing off on you too. And then he kicks her to the curb.
Yep.
So
Exactly. And then one of the things I am wondering, and this is just a thing to leave out there, is Amenadiel. He let Malcolm live, and I don't think it was for good reason. I think this was a chaotic reason. Okay, and I forgot to ask you the thing about Gotham. Okay,
real quick.
Matches says that he killed a crybaby, a big guy with a mustache. Do you think he's referring to how Batman looks when he is Matches Malone?
I don't know.
You know, because he wears the inflatables.
Because the thing when adult Bruce's Matches disguise has a mustache, but this Matches didn't.
He wears like a padded suit too.
So I don't know.
Did you get any other reference when he said that?
No, I didn't.
Okay. No. All right, that's it. Sorry.
Rating for this.
I gave it 8 green-eyed devils.
Okay. For this Lucifer episode, I gave it 8 out of 10 mysterious text messages.
Malcolm.
Yep.
I should have said Malcolm in the middle for one of these.
Yeah, you should have. Oh well.
Instead of Lucy knows his douches.
That would have been pretty clever.
Yeah, Malcolm in the middle.
Malcolm in the middle. Oh, well.
Let's just pretend I used Malcolm in the middle for that one.
Yeah, just come back and kind of cut and paste and insert that.
No, don't. But instead of Lucy knows his douches, it's Malcolm in the middle. Okay,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, the Inside Man.
Fast
I know. We get written by Craig Titley, directed by John Terlesky.
Did you say Titley?
Tightly.
Okay, I'm just saying.
It's Titley, so pronounce that however you want, guys.
I just like Titley. You said Titley.
I'm guessing he pronounces it tightly.
Probably.
I would.
I would too.
Okay, so A, B, and C real quick.
The new guy is a blockhead, as in a new guy around the block or whatever. Orders for his drones, and Lincoln revs her motors.
Ooh. Okay, so the new guy is a blockhead.
Yeah, that's, the dude.
The dude? Oh, you mean the absorbing man, right?
Well, the guy who's in charge of the absorbing man.
You mean Glenn Talbot, played by Adrian Pasdar.
That's right.
And the absorbing man, played by Brian Patrick Wade, who we haven't seen since the first season.
Right. He's awesome, though.
Yeah, he is. So, very cool. Talbot, essentially, he and Coulson, because now that unofficially, or at least not publicly, Talbot is working for Coulson. They go to meet with these delegates from several countries to discuss Inhumans, accompanied by Talbot's bodyguard, Carl Creel, the absorbing man.
Yeah, and Coulson is not thrilled about that.
Yeah, and because Coulson ends up suspecting that one of the delegates is an inside man for Gideon Malik.
Mm-hmm. Which is true.
Right? And discover, let's see, what is it here? That he sends Hunter, Bobby, and Agent May to find out who, with Hunter, I guess they end up seeing the absorbing man acting suspiciously, and they end up finding that Talbot's son is in ATCU status pod thing.
Mm-hmm. And he uses his hand, his fake hand, to take handprints of the delegates so that they can use the handprints.
I was wondering where you're getting the handprints from.
Which is awesome.
That's good. That was a little device that Fitz cooked up.
Yeah, it was neat.
It was cool. So one of the while this is going on, Agent May finds out that she intercepts this encrypted text from this Australian delegate, Ellen King, who says, we got to move him now, referring apparently to Ian Fessy, who Marvel Comics fans and Secret Warriors fans will know as Manifold, who ends up joining the Avengers later after Secret Warriors.
Hmm.
And so I'm really hoping we get Manifold on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
How many car references could they have in this episode? Lincoln,
Well,
Manifold.
yeah, I know. Yeah, and you had the Absorbing Man absorbing a tire.
Yep,
So you use all
that's true.
rubber. So there you go. So that
That's
was
right.
there. So yeah, it's good observation. There
Hmm.
was a lot of car references.
A lot of
Okay, so
car things
B
happening.
story.
Orders for his drones. This is Hive
Right.
having his drones bring him more drones.
Yeah. Essentially, the Hive is kind of racking up his minions, sprinkling them with that magical fairy dust or whatever that's coming.
Okay, that was a cool effect when he stepped out from his body and then the front of his body dissolved into the little drones. Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah. And so the Hive he's getting his minions, and then he ends up um, the he ends up getting that kind of withered corpse shell that he's been inhabiting, Ward's corpse. He builds that back up to full strength so he doesn't look all rib cagey.
Mm-hmm. Because he's absorbing
Yes,
people.
exactly. He's absorbing their energy.
Right.
Doing all kinds of stuff, and apparently it's not too pleasant because we hear screams and all kinds of stuff going on.
So he's giving the people around him orders to bring him more people.
Yeah, and Malik has no clue about this.
Nope.
So that's gonna bite him in the ass.
I'm hoping that Malik will become one of those people.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
And then C story.
Lincoln revs her motors.
Yeah.
And Daisy doing
we get a little brown chicka bow wow.
Yep. I was all ready for it.
Yep. Yeah. So we get Lincoln knocking boots with none other than Daisy. Yeah, we get a little shake and bake action. Which I love. I love that name, Shake and Bake.
Shake and Bake. I like it too.
That's got to be their ship name, Shake and Bake.
It has to be.
So
has to be.
It's too perfect.
What else could it be? And then, of course, we learned that Talbot was the inside man.
Yep. And so he turns on Coulson. Malik shows up. They both try to convince the delegates that Coulson is Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
And that they should carry out their plans with Malik instead, namely the building of an inhuman sanctuary in Russia.
Right. But Malik's not going to give his son back.
Nope. So yeah. So Agent May ends up saving Talbot's son, allowing him to escape with Coulson. It's like all of a sudden, I guess we're good buddies again, even though you tried to throw me under the bus.
Right. But now they're going to work together.
Right. I know.
Doesn't
I gotta
make
think
sense.
Coulson, if Coulson is smart, he will kick Talbot to the curb as fast as possible.
I would assume so, but this lowered my grade. The ending of the episode. When I saw Shake and Bake happen, which is an awesome name, I was kind of up on the episode, and then I lowered it because of the whole Talbot being forgiven thing.
So what's your grade for this episode?
7.5 handprints.
Yeah, I liked this episode. It had some potential, had some cool moments with the Absorbing Man stuff, but ultimately it was a little flat. I give it 8 out of 10 Daisy Johnson blood samples.
Yeah, this has been a good season for it, and I think this is a flat episode.
I get that they're setting stuff up, but unfortunately, you can set stuff up and still make a good episode.
And still make it entertaining. Yeah.
All right.
I agree. Okay, Daredevil.
Okay, Daredevil. Season 2.
Let's do it.
I'm waiting for this. We might as well combine both of these.
Sure.
So the season premiere episode, Bang, written by Douglas Petrie and Marco Ramirez, directed by Phil Abraham, who also wrote and directed the second episode, Dogs to a Gunfight. So, this first episode, we're back, New York City. It's hot summer in the city.
Hot time, summer in the city.
Getting down, all right, blah blah blah. Yeah, getting all the Yeah,
I
whatever.
don't know any
Yeah, I don't
words,
remember
so
that.
that's
Just remember the opening to Die Hard with a Vengeance when that's
right.
took place.
Right.
Yeah, so you get the idea. It's hot.
It's a good
It's a heat
song, though.
wave in New York City, so tensions are high. And then who comes to town but the Punisher?
That's right.
So what's our A, B, and C for
So
these?
good. For the first
Yeah.
one
Yeah,
or both of them?
both of them, since we're kind of combining.
Okay. Here's the first
Okay.
one. Tasmanian Assassin.
Yeah.
Hanging with the Grotto.
Hanging with the Grotto.
Yeah. And Going for Broke.
Right.
Because
Broke.
they're
Yeah.
broke. Yeah. The second one is Let's Make a Deal. It's a drop!
It's a drop! Do your famous Admiral Akbar impression.
That's right. And then he knows a guy about his suit.
I know a guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I know
He knows a guy. He does. And he knows the guy from season 1.
That's right. I would love to have a suit guy.
Yeah, you would think most superheroes would have costume guys.
A suit guy, right?
I mean, granted, Bruce has Alfred,
Mm-hmm.
and
I'm sure the Avengers
they have Jarvis. They have Jarvis in the comics.
Not so much anymore.
Yeah. But yeah,
because now he's kind of the Vision.
Well,
right? Does he exist still?
He's in the comics. He's Edwin Jarvis, but like on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. only in the modern setting. But the Vision in the movies being Jarvis, that's just an AI.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So it was probably named after Edwin Jarvis on Agent Carter. I would
think
so. So.
I mean, I know that, but I just wondered if the actual AI Jarvis still existed in some form.
Tasmanian Assassin.
Yeah, he was crazy, right?
It's just that it was kind of like this whirlwind. I was trying to figure out. Okay, so yeah.
He was. Well, they thought it was like more than one guy, and it was really
So we start the episode. This Irish mob family gets hit. Basically turns into a bloodbath. Like they're all like, "Oh yeah, Fisk is gone. This is now our time to bring like the Irish mob back into power." And all of a sudden they get mowed down.
I couldn't figure out where it was going.
Yeah,
and then
so they get blam. Only one guy survives. This guy named Grotto. So Grotto ends up going to Josie's bar and meets up. Well, I guess it's more the B story, isn't it? Hanging with a Grotto.
It's okay. Just go through the episode.
So Grotto ends up going to Josie's bar. Karen, Matt, and Foggy are shooting pool, and Grotto's there. He's like staring at them, and Matt kind of overhears the tapping of a gun. So like Matt goes to confront him, saying, "Hey, look, this is a nice place. You probably don't want to do that elsewhere if you know what's good for you." And then Grotto ends up saying that he's looking for Nelson and Murdoch because apparently he wants placed in witness protection. He tells them that he knows what happened to the Irish family that got mowed down. He's like begging for help. Foggy says, "Okay, we'll look into it." Grotto falls out of the chair though, and we find out that he was wounded during the mystery attack.
Right.
So they take him to the hospital.
And Karen pretends to be his girl.
Yeah. Yes.
In order to get him to the hospital.
Right. So they get him in the hospital. He doesn't really want to be there, but Karen lays down the law and she's like, "Look, I'm your best bet, Sparky. So it's either me or you're on your own." Right. So he's like, "Okay, I guess I'll stay here."
Right. And there's this underlying tone also of their law firm has been going strong, except for the fact that they're taking on all these hard luck cases.
Yeah, people pay them.
They're getting paid in pastries and hot dogs and bananas.
I think that was a reference to the Daredevil movie. Because they kind of did that with Nelson and Murdoch in the movie.
Well, that would definitely be something that they would do, though. And they band together. Karen does lay it out and say, "Well, we're broke," and they band together and they say, we'll find a way. And she says, yep, we're together. We'll find a way. And they're all on the same page, which is good. So I like that very much.
That was very cool. But the big money for this episode, the money scenes, are when John Bernthal, who played Shane on The Walking Dead, turns up. Shane. Shane. When he Carl Shane, stay away from Shane, Carl. But when Bernthal shows up as the Punisher, he shows up. He's been kind of teased, and then he starts walking into this hospital. He basically storms through that hospital, which I'm guessing is where your Tasmanian assassin comes from.
Both scenes, actually.
So like he's going through the hospital hallways. Karen kind of hears some commotion going on outside as the Punisher comes in, and she goes to Grotto, tries to get him out. So they hurry down the stairs. The Punisher sees them. He starts shooting at them. They happen to make it outside of Karen's car, which of course happened to belong to Ben Urich, but then he died.
Right.
So she apparently kept his car. Might as well. And then they speed off. But the Punisher quickly heads up to the roof. He's got his little sniper lens, and he's ready to take out Grotto when all of a sudden Daredevil finds him and kicks the gun out of his hand.
That's right. And
cool little roof.
A fight.
Yeah, we get this cool little rooftop brawl.
Yep.
Daredevil dodges a gunshot, starts trading blows with the Punisher. Punisher gets the best of him, though, leaves him lying on the ground and heads off. Daredevil chases after him. The Punisher draws a gun, looks at him while aiming, and says, "Bang!" And then fires. Daredevil is sent backwards, falling from the top of the building. That's our cliffhanger for episode 1, which is a hell of a way. Yeah. Exactly. But you got to admit, that was a great way to start off the season.
It was an amazing way to start off the season.
It was fantastic. And I'm not even talking about that. Earlier we saw this cool little sequence where Turk returns. You know, the informant Turk, the squealer, the rat. Ends up trying to sell some guns to some criminals. Daredevil shows up, kicks their asses, smashes Turk's hands. He's trying to find out where the weapons are coming from. Turk's warning Daredevil, well, since you took out the Kingpin, everybody's trying to get a piece of what's left. And he's like, you can let me go, right? Help a brother out. And then, so what happens? Daredevil takes the Turk's car keys, throws them in the East River. Sorry about your luck, pal.
Yep.
And then knocks him out.
Yep. And there's also, is this the scene where Punisher goes to the TV shop?
No, that's in the second episode.
Yeah, okay. Because that one was good too.
So let's go into. I'm guessing let's make a deal. The pawn shop.
Are we going to give our ratings?
We can do the ratings for the first one first.
I gave it 9 rhubarb pies.
And I gave it 9 out of 10 dead criminals hanging from meat hooks, because there's a really cool scene where, Daredevil comes across a bunch of criminals on meat hooks, and one of the guys is still alive. Barely warns Daredevil that, it wasn't an army, it was just one guy.
That's right. Even though Grotto has said it's a bunch of guys. But he knows it's one guy.
So that leads him to where they face off on the rooftop later. Okay.
Right. So let's make a deal. And this is where Reyes is trying to make a deal with them.
Right.
With the two guys. With our heroes.
With Matt and Foggy. Yeah.
Right. Actually,
this is like a DA investigator. Reyes. Yeah.
Right. Well, Grotto wants to make the deal. He wants to go into
Reyes
witness
is apparently
protection.
a real piece of work.
Oh, I hate her so much. And that's why I put her name here. because I wanted to make
Right.
sure to mention her. I kept calling her horrible names to the screen.
Let's see, what was the actress's name? Michelle Hurd. Yeah.
Hurd. She's a great actress because I hated her so
she comes up.
hard.
I mean, she and Foggy face off, and there's
Yeah.
this great scene where like she's like telling him how it is. Like, look, you you guys are out. We've got this. Foggy's just he's a little hesitant at first, but then he steps up to the plate and he starts calling the U.S. Attorney's office on her. He's
Mhm.
ready to report her, and then tells her like, look, I want the New York DA to vouch for us. Nelson and Murdoch are going to represent Grotto in court. Then we find
Mhm.
out that the DA's office wants info on this guy named Edgar Brass that Grotto supplies, does things
Right.
for, and they want Grotto to get him to talk, or they'll let him go and the Punisher will take him out. And
Right.
that's where we first get the Punisher named officially.
As the
Right,
Punisher,
right.
yeah. Yeah, and that's where my husband went, "The Punisher's in this?" And I was like,
Yes.
"Dude,
Yeah.
do you not pay attention to anything I say?"
So it's a trap. It's a trap.
That's right, which is where they go to execute this
Yeah, they go to this
plan.
plan where like we follow Grotto. He's there, like supposedly he calls out. He's wired up, okay? He's
Mhm.
nervous. Foggy ends up showing him like, "Hey, we got your witness protection papers." So
Yeah.
Grotto,
Everything's
everything's
good.
good.
You're
So
safe.
Grotto goes out there outside. He calls Brass out, but no one answers. He sees a man
Mhm.
near a shipping container, ends up going inside out of camera range. A cop
Mhm.
drags him in, offers him a vest, and then it suddenly turns out that, oh, guess what? The cops are using Grotto as bait for the Punisher. And
Right, it set
yeah,
the whole thing up.
So and Foggy and Karen not happy about this.
No, and then it goes
Yeah, it
sideways.
does. This truck approaches, barges right into the area where all this is going down.
And they think the Punisher's in there like
Yeah, pretty
idiots.
much. They think the Punishers are. Well, guess what? It's just some dead criminal strapped to the driving wheel to keep it going.
Like the Punisher would just
Yeah,
show up in a truck.
the
Hey.
Punisher's obviously smarter than the NYPD. Knew it was totally knew it
Ugh.
was a trap. He's on top of this water tower somewhere, but a smoke grenade goes off at his feet, and then Daredevil drop kicks him off the tower. The two end
Mhm.
up getting into a fight. Uh,
A good fight. A
as
really good
water from
fight.
the tower pours down on them.
Mhm. Now, was this supposed to be the epic fight?
It's not the
It was
It's
a
a good
good
fight, but it's
fight.
not the epic fight. There's
Okay,
still
good.
more because the Punisher gets shot in the shoulder before throwing himself and Daredevil through the roof down to the ground below. The two
Mhm.
face one another, and this is when the Punisher notices that noises affect Daredevil. And this is
Right.
after,
They're stepping
yeah,
on
and this is after we
glass.
find like that cliffhanger from the first episode. We find out we didn't really get into this, but Matt wakes up. He's got kind of a concussion. I'm guessing
Mhm.
from the
From the
gunshot that
shot.
kind of
Yeah.
grazed his head or hit off
Mhm.
his helmet and cracked his like cowl. And
Right.
so he's got kind of a concussion going on, which really screws him up. For a while there, he loses his hearing and
Mhm.
it freaks him out, but then it comes back. And
Right. And the glass is really doing a number on his
yeah,
ears.
so
The crackling of the glass under their
the
feet.
Punisher notices that noises are affecting Daredevil, which I'm sure will pay off later. He's
Mhm.
And then Foggy shows up with the cops at the scene. The cops declare the area is clear, but guess what? Daredevil and the Punisher nowhere to be found.
Are gone. And if you notice, when you look down
Yeah,
into there, there's like scrape marks where the Punisher has dragged his feet
right.
through the glass. It looks like he's actually like moved the glass a long way to really
Yeah,
mask, to make a lot of noise to mask his
to
movement. So,
disorient Matt in the process. So
right,
yeah.
right. So I'm guessing he did that to distract him, and then he grabbed him and
And I'm
ran.
guessing he knows a guy as a reference to none other than Melvin Potter, the
That's right.
Gladiator, who we get a
Yeah.
little bit more of a tease as the Gladiator because he pulls out that circular saw blade. and he's all ready to use it.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's like, "Oh, okay, I guess I won't use it for now."
Yeah. Right.
So
And he has to reassure him, yeah, I know I told you I'd leave you alone, but come
yeah,
on, do a guy
I'm
a
still gonna look
solid.
after your girlfriend and all
Right.
this. Daredevil wants Melvin to look at his helmet and to repair his costume. Melvin's like, "Dude, I'm gonna have to like make a totally all new helmet, but if it's ready tonight, it won't be enough to keep you safe. So it's gonna take a couple days."
Right. And after this, he goes out in a hoodie.
For a little bit. And then
Right. And he goes to an apartment and I think it's great. There's this dog barking at him. And all he does is he goes to this food bag that's sitting right there next to the barking dog. And he feeds the
and then
dog.
all of a sudden the dog's his best friend. It's like, dude, the Punisher hasn't been feeding me.
Right. It's the simplest
solution
way to appease a guard dog ever. So it was fantastic.
So
okay.
that was pretty good.
An amazing episode. And that scene was a great fight scene. I love the fight scenes in the show.
Great. Yeah, it was great. Apparently we're going to get more because we got to see Daredevil chained up. Which apparently is a reference to the Punisher series by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. Yeah, well, yeah, a little bondage going on. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
But that's coming up. So yeah, so it's they did an issue, I think it was issue 3 of the 12-issue maxi series by Ennis and Dillon. And issue 3, I believe, was this Daredevil versus the Punisher.
I probably have that series.
Yeah, so you might want to,
because I have a lot.
You might want to reread it before next week's episode.
Do you think?
Guessing.
Should I spoil myself?
I'm going to. Well, you don't know, but I think it's going to be referenced. So
okay,
just say.
I'll try and hook myself up with it. I'm sure.
One other thing I forgot about this episode, real quick, that Karen showed up at Matt's apartment and kind of hinted that, like, dude, I was waiting for that. I missed the Karen.
There she is.
She needs to be a little louder. She's a little quiet.
Okay. I'm sorry.
But, she kind of hints that she knows something's up with Matt more than just drinking. That the excuse that Foggy gave.
Oh, yeah, that's
Foggy
right.
Gave her, but,
and she says, if you ever need to talk to someone.
I'm here when you're ready.
Yeah, and she says she knows it's something else because of all the bruises and everything, and it's not just him walking into furniture. Yeah. So she's hinting that she knows he's up to something.
Mm-hmm. But these were a couple great episodes. Really enjoyed them, especially the first episode. So I'm kind of curious what your rating is.
Okay, as you know, I gave the first one 9 rhubarb pies, just to go back and compare and contrast. I gave the second one also 9 costume fixers.
Very nice. And again, I gave the first episode 9 dead criminals hanging on meat hooks. And the second episode I give 8.5 out of 10 broken water glasses, which is a reference to when Matt drops the water glass. And he doesn't hear it shatter.
No, he doesn't.
This is after his, normally great coordination fails him.
Right.
So he's obviously got a concussion.
There's something going on there.
So
Yep.
So
and Michelle Hurd.
It's gonna be really hard to not do just one episode next week, right?
Yes, it is, but we're going to have to.
All we're going to have time to review is just one episode because all the DC shows are back. So we're going to have a busy week. Sorry we kind of rushed through this episode, but it's been an hour and 49 minutes. So I guess we hadn't rushed too much.
No, we didn't actually.
If we didn't rush, we would be here like 3 hours. So what's our feedback?
Okay, I'll play it.
Hi, Karen and Charles. Supergirl was really super this week. I give it 9 out of 10 fallen heroes. Kara went from a little girl's hero to a true mean girl, and the acting was absolutely phenomenal. This is our 3rd color of kryptonite being explored in the series. I looked it up, and there is a lot more, doing a whole variety of things. So I'm wondering if the series will take time to explore all the different types of kryptonite and the effects that they have on Kara, on humans, and even on inanimate objects. The article I was reading about kryptonite claimed that red kryptonite makes Kryptonians weaker, but I didn't see any evidence of this in the show. Kara even managed to turn peanuts into weapons. I don't think she was weak. Sean John really will do anything for the Danvers sisters, even if it means showing his true identity. I know that we were told that he has had daughters, and now he sees Alex and Kara as surrogate daughters. But I'm going to be very interested to get more backstory on this. A backstory on what caused him to make a vow to forever protect the Danvers sisters. Kara has a lot of relationships to mend, and I think her relationship with National City will be the one that takes the longest. Bruce Wayne has left Wayne Manor. I found this to be the most interesting part of this week's Gotham. I think exploring the streets with Selena and seeing what is truly going on in Gotham will help give Bruce a new perspective that will start shaping him into the man that he is destined to become. I am loving Lucifer. That show is so much fun. I wonder if the wing colors mean anything. Because Lucifer is supposed to be the devil cast out of heaven, but his wings are white. And Amenadiel has black wings, but I was under the impression that he is still a regular angel who just happens to be patrolling hell right now because Lucifer is gone and somebody has to watch the gates so demons don't get out. He saved the cop that was in the coma and made him wake up, which at first could be perceived as a good thing, but the information that cop held was actually dangerous, and having him alive and being able to tell the secrets could be very dangerous for Dan, and by extension be dangerous for Chloe and Trixie. So I'll find it very interesting if by the end of the season Lucifer turns out to be the hero of the story, which is totally opposite of his persona as the devil, what you would perceive the devil to do, but he's forming an attachment to Chloe and Trixie, so I could see him saving the day and being a true angel. And the wing colors are more like a foreshadowing that Lucifer having the white wings means he will do the right thing and protect the innocent people, and Amenadiel having black wings might mean that he is going to do something bad. It looks like Talbot and Coulson are going to be able to work together after all on S.H.I.E.L.D., but Hydra going to put all the powered people in one spot to allegedly all live in peace? I don't know about this. I think it could be a setup for Captain America Civil War.
Yep.
Which I love because I'm now getting so much more out of the Marvel TV shows and the Marvel movies by having them both feed off of each other. Have a super week.
You too, Justina. Yeah, what do you think the deal is with the wing color on Lucifer?
It's interesting because they kind of did something with that on Constantine, where like the good angels had the white wings, and then all of a sudden when they become evil, their wings turn black.
Right.
But with Amenadiel, he does have the darker wings.
Do you think it's just based on skin color?
That's what I'm thinking.
Me
I
too.
don't think it,
because he's a good angel, supposedly.
Yeah, remember Lucifer is the devil.
Right.
So if anybody's going to have the black wings, it would be Lucifer, right?
Right. But in the comics, he also has white wings.
So I don't think it's related to good and evil. I think
I think it might just be skin color.
I do too.
That's my theory, at least. We might find out something else.
Who knows? We could be told something totally different.
Because Amenadiel's white in the comics, right?
Yes. If I recall correctly.
And he has white wings. Yeah. So they didn't have anything to go on except for the fact that he has white wings.
They thought it would look weird with having a black character with white wings.
With white wings, yeah. So it's just aesthetic, I think.
So too.
Yeah. At least that's my thought.
I wouldn't read too much into it.
I wouldn't either. It looks awesome, though. Whatever
Yeah.
it is. I can't wait to see Mazikeen with a real face, though,
Yes.
which
I mean, we
is
kind of got that little tease in the mirror reflection, but I want to I
Mhm.
want to see full face, like or
Right.
full half face.
Yeah, I'm thinking that since he's dumped
Yeah.
her, that she's not going to be able to keep that glamour
That's an interesting
on.
theory.
Because the only reason she has it is because she's with him
Well,
in the human
unless she
realm,
can
right?
shapeshift. I don't know.
I don't
We'll
know
find out.
either.
All right.
Yeah, we
So
will. Okay, so if you want to send feedback,
yeah. So send feedback. You want to give our addresses, or do you want me to do it? Okay.
I'll do it. Our Twitter address is @FandomZonecast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/FandomZone Podcast.
Please give us a like,
And
because we were at 63. Now we're back down to 62, and I'm kind of puzzled why.
How did
I have
that
no
happen?
idea. Somebody dropped us, and so like, hey, we need somebody to replace that person.
Well, someone might have just deleted their Facebook
Maybe.
account. Okay, so our email is fandomzonecast@gmail.com. Please write us there. And I am at Oliveria on the Twitter machine. And in my link, there is a link. In my bio, there is a link to my blog, and there's a pinned blog post with all my information there, as I say that in stilted words.
Okay.
Like
okay,
that.
William Shatner.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I couldn't think of the words. Staccato.
That's a cool word. I'm, of course, at Charles Skaggs on Twitter and Instagram. Google Plus for all you crazy kids on the Google Plus. Facebook, of course, and my blog of geeky things, Damn Good Coffee and Hot, where I talk about all these comic book shows. Recently just posted some news about Clayface coming to Gotham.
Yay!
So got the casting news on Damn Good Coffee. Want to check it out?
Awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah,
more villains.
Yes. Oh, the Mad Hatter's coming too, supposedly.
Excellent.
So I'm looking forward to that because I really like the Mad Hatter.
I like all of Batman's villains, really, and I like that the Batman villains are actually on Batman.
Crazy.
And they're not on the Arrow.
It's like we have to show them before Arrow claims them all.
Right.
Right. So next week, another huge episode. I think we have like 9 shows next week.
Yeah. Plus one episode of Daredevil.
Well, I think that includes one episode of Daredevil, but all the DC shows are back. So
crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna figure out how we're gonna get through this, but we'll get through it.
We will. Well, it's only going to be like 5 or 6 more weeks, and then it'll be down to us deciding what we're going to do with our summer.
I think we're covered because Fear the Walking Dead's going to be on, and Preacher's going to be on because Preacher starts up in May. So there's 2 shows right there for the summer.
Excellent. And we'll still have a few more Daredevils to go.
So we're gonna have 3 shows at least minimum for a while. So so we're cool. So yeah, we'll be here to keep you warm in the summertime.
That's right. Or cool in the summertime. We'll be cool in the summertime.
But we'll heat things up in the summertime.
All right. So that's it for us, and we have a special outro for this week. Thanks
Lucifer.
to Charles.
And Lucifer.
Charles and Lucifer. Yep. They're not the same.
Some might beg to differ on that point.
No, I would not. You're totally different people. So here we go. Out with a little David Bowie for you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.